Wow.
I mean, you know, but even after the war, his life to me was more amazing because he did miraculously survive. And at age 35, he became a minister, and he spent the rest of his life serving the God who had seen him through so many perilous situations. And the high point of his life was a trip that his daughters gave him to the Holy Land. And I just want to share a quote that he wrote after that because this touched me so. He said, "I have had a great spiritual uplift, and with it comes increased responsibility. I hope that the light within me may never be put under a bushel, but put upon the candlestand." And he wrote a letter to his daughter that I think summed up his philosophy of life, and I think should be our philosophy of life. And this is what he said. He said, "Serve God and your generation with an unselfish spirit, and the same sun which rose often upon you in splendor may follow you through life and come down on you in a blaze of glory. We can only do our part faithfully, and the thing which befalls us will be the best thing for us in the two lives which we must all live, the here and the hereafter."
Wow.
He inspired me. He's been the most popular character in my book.
Wow.
When we had a celebration of the book's success, I let everybody vote for the most popular character, and Frank Stringfellow took top honors.
Wow.
He's touched people.
As you just tell about his character, I just think about how God uses ordinary people to accomplish his extraordinary purposes.
Exactly.
And his perseverance just reminds me of your story about the book, how God wasn't going to let you give up.
Yeah.
He'd bring someone into your life just at the right time to encourage you. And I really believe this. Your book, the story in this book, the characters in this book, are going to not only change people in our community, but I think God's going to use this to change people around the world.
It's amazing. I've heard from people in every state, and their stories are very touching. That's been the greatest, blessing of it all.
Wow. The reviewer goes on to say, history, when it is read at all, is usually consumed as a nonfiction product. Morton, I would think, is wise enough to know that while facts have their use, it is stories that present truth to us in their most vivid and most lasting form. Jesus taught in parables.
Exactly.
The best-selling books are stories. And what do you hope is the lasting moral value of marching through Culpeper?
One reviewer made this statement. This was Dr. Clyde Wilson at the University of South Carolina. He said, "The book's success proves that Morton has touched our hearts and our minds." And to me, touching hearts is the most important thing. But I hope that the message that this book gives is that God is always there to strengthen those who love them, even through the most difficult of times, because as you watch the terrible difficulties and privations that people endured during the war between the states, in my character's case, they always were strengthened because they were strong Christians, and that's inspiring. Secondly, I hope it says that character is important. Who we are is the most important thing in how we serve God. Character is important, fidelity is important, and love is stronger than hate, and love transcends war. It certainly did for the couple in my book.
Wow. What you just shared, Virginia, reminds me of the verse in the Bible that says, "For we know that all things work for the good for those who love Him, who love God."
That's my favorite verse in the Bible. It really is. It really is. And sometimes we don't realize that when things happen in our lives, they don't go the way we think they ought to go. Like when I didn't get that job. But it turns out the way that God sends us is so much better than anything we ever dreamed of.
Wow.
It's my favorite verse.
Wow. One of my verses, each year I pick out a theme verse for the year. And a few years ago, my theme verse was, "Rejoice in the Lord always, I say rejoice." God is the most joyful being in the entire universe. And people, including many Christians, they lose that. They get overwhelmed by their circumstances. but I want to greet each day with joy. And God says, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. None of us have the promise of tomorrow, but every one of us that's alive right now has this precious time right now. And we choose our attitudes, and our attitudes ultimately will determine our altitude. So what has, you said you were an introvert, and yet God has sent you up and down the East Coast to tell people about Culpeper. Little tiny Culpeper, and about 3,500 people have taken your tours in Culpeper. What is your mission?
That's a good question. As I said, I had to begin speaking to promote the book. And mostly I wanted to tell people about Culpeper. And I've developed several different slide presentations where I show the people and places in my book. And I also show Culpeper today, what there is to see and do here today. And so, of course, I began making speaking engagements. And again, this was something that was not true to my nature. Very difficult for me to do at first. But again, God guided me through it, and the more I did it, the more comfortable I became with it. And it's sort of a lonely thing because generally I go by myself. I've driven all over the East Coast. I've been as far north as Morrisville, New Jersey, as far south as Tallahassee, Florida. And I'm constantly out there just telling people about the book, and especially about Culpeper and about my tours, and hoping that it will draw them here, and it has. It really, that's the most exciting part to me, is when I have people come that I know came specifically because they read Marching Through Culpeper and they wanted to see where it happened, or they heard me speak and they wanted to come and take the tour. And I conduct not only walking tours of the town, but tours of the two battlefields. I do a lot of bus tours for groups. And the other really rewarding thing is most of the groups who come love it so much they immediately book a second tour and they want to come back. This year I've got 3 bus tours coming back who were here last year, and they all demanded to their tour guide they come back to Culpeper and do another tour with Virginia Morton. And that to me is rewarding. That's the whole purpose of what I'm trying to do. But again, it's exhausting and it's kind of lonely, and an encouraging word from a friend, it really means the world, and that's why it's so important. People have reached out to me and just said the right word at the right time, and it makes me more conscious that I need to do that with other people, but because we all need to know that others encourage us and others are supporting what we're trying to do. But as far as what tourism can do for Culpeper, it's a clean industry. The economic statistics show that it pumps money into your economy in a very positive way. You don't have to educate people when they come, is to educate their children. You don't have those kind of service experiences, but it lifts the level and quality of life, I think, for any community up. It supports nice restaurants, nice stores, and I think it will help make Culpeper an even better place to live as we develop our tourism industry. I really do believe it's very positive for the community.
So in summary, your mission is to write it and they will come, to bring people to Culpeper. And our mission for the Life of Blessing is simple. It can be boiled down to making Virginia a bright light for the world, to restore America's godly heritage, and to ignite the greatest revival in the history of the world. And we believe in 2005, our goal is to make the Piedmont community, Culpeper and the surrounding counties, a bright light for Virginia. In 2006, we want Virginia to be a bright light for the world. And in 2007, the year we celebrate the 400th anniversary of Jamestown, which is the birthplace of English-speaking America. It's the birthplace of our nation. And the focus of the whole world will be on Virginia for all of 2007.